Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome back, everybody. If you find that you have nobody to talk to about all your favorite demonic possession movies and just find enjoyment and comfort in watching supernatural horror, but nobody shares that same appreciation that you do for this subgenre, well, welcome, buddy, because I appreciate it, and we can talk demonic possession together here. So welcome. Today we are going to be reviewing and discussing the new movie, The Conjuring Last Rites, which came out in 2025. The Warrens are pulled out of retirement when their daughter Judy begins experiencing disturbing visions, leading them to a haunted house where a mysterious demonic force threatens to tear their family apart. So as we jump into the review and discussion for the newest Conjuring movie, obviously on the channel here, we've been covering the mainline Conjuring movies. I didn't have time to go through the entire franchise, so I was just taking a look back at the one starring Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, part 1, 2, The Devil Made Me Do It, and now this one. So if you're interested in my thoughts on those, go check those out. But yeah, we're going to be covering the new one today. We will be kind of delving into some spoiler territories. The movie just came out, so I'm not going to do a full breakdown or anything like that. Just when I get into some specifics, positives and negatives, I will kind of get a little bit more specific with those. But if you guys have seen my videos on the previous Conjuring movies, you know that these Conjuring movies, specifically those first two, hold such a special and important part in my life here, in my heart. It sounds maybe a little bit dramatic, but they were really the movies that kind of helped push me out of my comfort zone and taught me how to actually have fun with movies that kind of creeped me out and scared me, and led to me having horror as one of my favorite genres. So I'm eternally grateful here. ZakIsCinema is so grateful for the Conjuring universe, but unfortunately this universe has been on a steep decline, in my opinion, really ever since The Conjuring 2 or Annabelle Creation. I forget which one came out first, but ever since then, these have just kind of gotten steadily more generic and forgettable. And the third one, while not a horrible movie in any way, it is just one of the most generic and forgettable demonic horror movies, unfortunately. So I had my hesitancy around this last one here, but I'm like, okay, they're finally closing out the Warren storyline. This is going to be the last mainline one. This is a big deal here. I have faith that they might try to wrap this up in at least a satisfying way. And I wasn't expecting the levels of the first two, but I'm like, okay, it's got to at least be better than the third one, right? I guess we'll determine that together here, because yeah, let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I enjoyed most about this movie. So first, I think that Ed and Lorraine's relationship in this movie is a huge positive, and I think has easily been some of the best parts in all of these Conjuring movies. I think they're the best parts in Annabelle Comes Home. For the brief moment that they're in there, they really help save that third one from being unwatchable to at least watchable. So their relationship in here is still very sweet. It is still very heartwarming. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have amazing chemistry. They really embody these characters, the relationship, and the work that they do together. They really just come off on the screen like this real life couple that were really meant to be together, and both of them have never questioned that decision for spending the rest of their lives and hunting demons together. They've never questioned it, and you can tell how that comes off on screen. Even at this movie's low points, which, trust me, we will get into, at least when they were on screen, it was watchable. I love watching these characters, and I'm happy that their relationship still really shines throughout all of these movies, and even in this fourth one. And next, I forget the demon's name, but I really enjoyed that demon that's holding the axe with like the long hair and the makeup on his face. You see him in the trailers and marketing everywhere. Even though he only gets about 2.5 scenes throughout this long movie here, he was easily the standout and the creepiest part of the movie. And I wish they utilized him more, because he seemed very interesting. He seemed intimidating and very very unsettling. It kind of reminded me of like a combination of Jack Torrance from The Shining and Patrick Wilson's character from Insidious Chapter 2 merging together and in a little bit more demonic, supernatural kind of way. He looks so cool visually that I wish they did more with him, but the couple of times that he popped up, I'm like, okay, we're doing something here. This is actually creepy, and I do really, really like that. Yeah, like I said, I just wish that they used them more. And lastly here, I don't think this is a gory movie or pushes the R rating. That's another big kind of mixed aspect I have with a lot of these movies. It's that they never really push that R rating at all. It's like extreme PG-13 if anything, but there are some gore moments here, nothing crazy or anything that's going to stick out in my mind, but I was like, okay, maybe I wish we were doing more of this, but the couple of times that they do, it's a nice change of pace for this franchise that has really lacked any kind of gore or R rating material, unfortunately. But yeah, that's unfortunately about it. That's what I got here. So let's jump into my negatives or the things that I just didn't really like about this movie. And I'm very disappointed with this movie. If it wasn't obvious, I feel like this section is more of just like me vomiting my frustrations and disappointments. I think my biggest negative with this movie is it's just so frustratingly boring and uninteresting and truly uneventful. My whole entire theater was packed, not a single seat not sold. And even though it was sold out, there was not a single noise in that entire movie experience. And not in a good way that like everybody was just so engaged with the movie. The theater lacked so much energy. There was not anybody moving, talking, reacting. It's almost like our entire theater made a communal decision to disengage from the movie and just disassociate and zone out throughout this runtime because the theater was full, but it just felt like I was the only one there and not in a good way. And that was just what I was kind of left with, if that kind of makes sense. This is the longest Conjuring movie, or at least about the same runtime as our third one. However, it feels like this movie has the least amount of things going on, or even a sustainable plot for a movie that would be about an hour and a half. It feels like it was that much, but dragged out almost another hour, which is just so confusing and frustrating because I feel like there's a decent movie here if you literally chop off at least 30 to 40 minutes. It was disappointing seeing how like this first hour, this first section, almost the first half of the movie, we spend a large portion in the beginning following Judy Warren, the Warren's daughter here, and we get more context as to why she has these demonic sensitivities almost similar to what Lorraine has and what we've seen with that character. In the beginning, we find out that she was born a bit early. It doesn't really say how much early, but Lorraine and Warren, when they were first starting out, were looking at this demonic thing, see the mirror that we're going to be following in this movie. Lorraine kind of sees a creepy demonic version of herself, which causes her to start having the pregnancy early, and then it kind of shows us that these demonic forces have kind of attached themselves to Judy and Lorraine, and that's why they're kind of force sensitive, or at least that's why it's transferred over to Judy as well. But then we follow these characters for the next 45 minutes, and Judy's kind of wandering around, seeing demons and demonic creepy shit, but then not telling her parents about it. And it just felt so frustrating, and like we were legit meandering around scenes together, because I guess I was under the impression that we kind of already knew Judy maybe wasn't like sensitive in the ways Lorraine was, but we knew she had experiences with demons from the first Conjuring, the second one, especially Annabelle Comes Home. So when it wasted almost an hour of Judy just wandering around seeing demons, getting freaked out, I'm like, yeah, we kind of already, like I already kind of knew that. This isn't anything new. This isn't anything fresh. We've seen this just with the Warren character, so now seeing it from Judy's perspective, it's not different. It just feels like an hour-long rehash leading to information that we've already been aware of. And we spend so much time on this. I truly don't think that they get to the actual possessed house and main plot line until almost halfway through the movie. movie. And we spent a lot of time with Judy and her weird, creepy boyfriend that looks like he's about 48, but could also be like 29. So he came off as a little creepy to me. He's trying to get the Warrens' approval to marry Judy after 6 months. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like at 6 months, I'm just starting to get comfortable with somebody to show them my physical media, specifically my VHS collection, not for marriage, but like whatever. This is in the 70s or 80s, so different time. But then they spend all this time of like the boyfriend working up courage to talk to her parents, Judy comforting him, and I'm like, guys, this is supposed to be a scary movie. Nothing is happening. We even get to a party. I forget if it was like an anniversary or a birthday for Ed Warren, but we get to there. They literally have a 5-minute dedicated scene of Judy's boyfriend and Ed Warren playing ping pong, like trying to develop their relationship with each other, and for Judy's boyfriend to kind of get an in with the family. And we literally have a scene of them playing ping pong, almost something out of like Challengers with the tennis matches there. And I'm just like, what are we what are we doing? And then there's like this cringy scene of Judy walking away, her boyfriend talking to her parents saying that he wants to propose, and then he like shows them the ring. Ed's like, protective dad and all hesitant, and it's just so lame and boring. And Judy comes back in, walks in, sees the ring, and then her boyfriend kind of fumbles with it and gets down on one knee to like pick it up, and then she's like, oh my God, is that for me? Yes, absolutely yes. And it reminded me of the cringy plot line of Joey accidentally proposing to Rachel in like season 9 of Friends, and it's just like it came off that exact same way. And I'm like, guys, I am so uninterested right now. It is so frustrating. And I did end up checking my phone at one point, which I rarely do. I cannot remember the last time I just felt so bored in a movie. Like, it wasn't horribly made. At least then I'd get some entertainment out of it, but just so fucking bored. And I checked my phone. We weren't into the possessed house until about an hour and 20 minutes in, an hour and a half. So basically right at that halfway point, which is actually insane. There's no real tension or scares or atmosphere in that first half either. And I think the way that the Warrens kind of come out of retirement, because they're focusing more on Judy and their older age now, so they're not really accepting new cases. They kind of help people when they can, but nothing really new or exciting. But, Judy's having these visions that she's not really opening up to her parents about, which just makes no sense because they have such a close relationship. And the one group of people Judy should be talking to is her parents. They're literally demonic ghostbusters. They've done this almost their whole life. The only people in the world that would truly understand what you're going through, Judy, is your parents, and those are the one people that she is refusing to talk to. So it's just one of those plot lines where you just need these characters to talk to each other, and then they refuse to talk to each other until the end of the movie. So it just kind of felt like frustrating bullshit, if that makes sense. And Judy kind of is starting to get more of her visions, more of her sense powers, as soon as that priest that has showed up in all the movies went to the possessed house and then later hung himself, and she's at his funeral, and she like sees something, doesn't talk to or say anything to anybody, but just goes to the family's home and starts helping. She has no training. She has not worked with her parents before, so I don't know why she wouldn't just convince her parents to go, and that could have led to like a great moment of a family coming together. But instead, Judy just runs off. Then the Warrens and her boyfriend come and find her. Then they're like, oh, I guess we'll help. And I'm like, you could have had a cool dynamic with the family of, the Judy saying, you got to trust me here. Like, I might not have the experience, but I have the feelings like you do, Mom. You got to trust me. Like something dramatic like that. And then they could have, worked together and supported each other. But instead, the Warrens just kind of get dragged in finding Judy and then just decide to stay for no real apparent reason. This wasn't a good enough reason for them to come out of retirement, but whatever. That's how the movie goes. And unfortunately, from that point, once we kind of get into the home, it's just stuff we've seen before. It's lame, it's not scary, and truly felt like nothing really happened. There's no discovery, there's no mystery, there's no twist. We just kind of sit in a house as creepy shit jumps out at us, and we've seen that a million times before. The thing that I praise the most, I think, with the first two movies is just how well they developed the Warrens, but also the family that we're going to be following, so it elevates the scares and makes you intrigued and actually care for this family to get it out of a situation. But this is the longest Conjuring movie, and I truly cannot sit here and tell you any of the family members' names at all. I truly don't even think they said a name. They're nothing. There's no family development, no dynamics or character developments that you even remotely care about. Halfway through, I just kind of forgot that there was even a family, and when they get to the house, half the time the family's just kind of there, but not really being attacked or anything. It's mostly just attacking the Warrens, so nothing really makes you feel for this family. There's nothing to this family, which is just so frustrating. It almost felt like an afterthought, even though with the runtime, this should have been the most developed family. And unfortunately, as we're kind of jumping into my final thoughts here, this movie just has no sense of finality to it. It's being marketed as the last one in the mainline Conjuring universe, that this is the fucking case that caused them to retire and stop doing this. And it just kind of comes off as like a freak of the week kind of episode. Like it seems like this would be a normal Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon for the Warrens. Like there's nothing we haven't seen before in these movies or any of the spin-offs, and I'm like, well, this was the case. This was your opportunity to really push in a different direction, really push that R rating and do something very different and very personal for the Warrens, and instead they just kind of go with a dragged out, less interesting version of the first two. And our big demon in this movie is a fucking mirror. I think somebody just got finished watching Oculus and took all the wrong messages from that movie as to why it made it so creepy, and just was like, oh, okay, people are scared of mirrors. Let's bring in a mirror as the final Warren demon. And you get some surrounding demons. I only like the Axe one. The couple of others are just CGI messes, which is a huge negative as well that I didn't even delve into. But this creepy mirror that isn't even that creepy and just kind of shows you a demonic version of yourself is the kind of main final demon, which for me, like I've talked about, reflections and mirrors are very creepy and unsettling for me, but this did nothing. If anything, I think it helped me get past my fear of reflections in dark rooms, because the literal climax of this movie is a mirror starting to violently spin in the hallway. Then it like flips over and starts acting as a trash compactor as it slowly pushes the Warrens back in this hallway, slowly pushing them back. Got her boyfriend, Judy's boyfriend, like trapped under it. And that's the third act climax. Ed Warren starts doing his biblical exorcism shit against a mirror, and I'm like, guys, this is one, goofy, and two, not scary at all. There's no intensity with this fucking mirror. It makes no sense. They wrap it up by having Lorraine and Judy come to realize that they should not be ashamed of their vision powers and that they need to embrace them. So they look in the mirror together, put their hands on the glass, and just start like screaming at it until I guess they've overcome the mirror and took a deeper look at themselves and really reflected and moved on as characters. And then the demons are like, oh God, we don't want to mess with the Warrens now. They have a little bit more self-confidence. Let's get out of here, guys. And then that's how it wraps up. And I'm like, what? I feel nothing here. And it's so difficult to kind of talk about because nothing really happens, and the stuff that happens is just so uninteresting. I cannot remember the last time I just felt plain and simple disengaged from a movie, which is just just so frustrating in a franchise like this where it has such a big place in my heart too. And then the very end, we get to Judy's wedding. It's wrapping things up, and then we actually at the wedding see the families from the previous 3 Conjuring movies, and me and my brother were giggling in the theater because it just reminded us of like some Marvel Conjuring shit, like Tony Stark's funeral when you get all the characters and you get the cameos of the kid from Iron Man 3. It felt like that, and I'm like, guys, this is so stupid. And why the hell would these families show up to your daughter's wedding? I don't even think they ever met your daughter. Like, the daughter was always at home fucking around with the nun or Annabelle. Okay, this makes no sense. So just a frustrating way to kind of end it. Such a cringy, disappointing note to kind of leave off on too. And I would say overall for this movie, it just kind of felt like I was rambling. I hope that made a coherent kind of structure to it, but this movie is just so disappointing. It's a final chapter with no finality to it. Truly didn't do anything new or different with the Conjuring formula, but instead tried to drag it out longer than it needed to be. The Conjuring movies have truly turned into what feels like a cliche and parody of themselves, and unfortunately these last 2 just, I feel like, dampen the impact that those first 2 made. It's frustrating and disappointing to kind of see what this franchise has led into, and I didn't have super high hopes. I was hoping it'd at least be as good as the 3rd one, maybe slightly better, and at least like give me some finality, some stakes, some real good wrap up, but it just kind of feels like another disappointing Conjuring movie, and that's just disappointing, especially when you're billing it as the final one here. So for my rating for this movie is I have it as, this is a movie I would never rent, I would never stream, I would never illegally torrent this movie ever, because there's no reason for me to ever watch it again, unfortunately. But you guys have my thoughts on the Conjuring Last Rites. Let me know down below what you thought of this movie. Was it being too harsh on it? Do you guys think it's a little bit better than I'm giving it credit for? Or were you more disappointed with it? Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this movie down below here. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks of it. But I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.